Hello, Internet, and welcome to Rough Drafts Competes, our Journey of Wrestling League. We are in full swing for the sixth set of weeklies after our gold pay-per-views wrapped up last month. We are one weekly in. So far, I have a small lead, but it is anyone's game as we have seen some cards that have blown out anything that occurred last week. And I know someone hot on my heels who would love to surpass me and get the W would be Xander, my co-host here. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing good, and I am hot on those heels, excited to show what I've got this week, but also really excited to see what everyone put together tonight.
Absolutely. I mean, it is always interesting. I feel like the first set of weeklies is always the toughest because it's the one right after the pay per view. Your people are tired. Your best workers were all in the big, fancy gimmick matches that have a lot of extra fatigue to them, right? So you don't necessarily get to do everything you want to do on the first weekly back. It's really the second weekly where you start having to weigh that, do I use my top talent? Do I try to push these mid card things that maybe weren't as big of a deal last time around, managing like how much you're willing to push people ahead of the pay per view. So this is going to be a make or break week for sure. And it starts with poor Eduardo, who I feel for because he found out a mechanic that technically was known, but had been lost in a deep formula that had made my head hurt. Which is that if a match is under 2 stars, it counts regardless of the whole dropping the lowest matches thing. You're going to be surprised to hear, Xander, no squashes on this card. No squashes ever
Interesting,
again, I
interesting,
think.
interesting. That's a very bold strategy. Yeah, no, that's unlucky. I mean, I wish that I had made that more clear as the one that arguably was the most prepared to let everyone know about that.
Mm-hmm.
But alas, it did
Yeah,
not happen. So
yeah.
I'm glad though that of all the people for it to happen to, it happened to Eduardo.
If we could just keep all the bad luck on one
If
person, I
I mean,
suppose.
that's really what I'm getting at here, right? Like I
Yeah.
just want the majority of the bad luck to only impact one person, which makes it fair for the other three of us, right?
And this is why
And
you're the
that's
heel on our broadcast team. Oh man! And on that note, let's just
we have
jump
too
in a
much fun.
destination tonight. Oh, we do have fun here, and we have fun with a nice tables match to start the night. It is Omerta versus Poker of Pain. Poker of Pain have not wrestled as a tag in 3 months. Jack Asriel and Kenneth King have had a lot of solo work that they have been up to since they lost to Corazones de Lucha back in March in this league. So they have been, trying to, they need an opportunity to prove themselves as a tag team. Equally needing to prove themselves as a tag team is Omerta, who just lost a feud to Psycho Circus that was for the top contender spot. Psycho Circus, we're expecting to be going up against the Hiroshima Hotties in the very near future now that they took the belt off of the Corazones de Lucha. But Omerta needs to find their place within this company. They have some very talented people. Everyone in this match on both sides is completely over. Poker of Pain are 4-3s. Omerta's full of 4-4s. A lot of them have the tag specialists. They know how to work together. But the question is, which of these tag teams can put it all together to get a much needed win on both sides? Xander, of these two, who do you think's getting the nod tonight?
Listen, I can see arguments for both. Okay, Omerta and Poker of Pain, but they're putting stuff together, and it's a tables match. Okay, and if I have to trust one of these two groups to put together some IKEA tables before they throw each other through them, it's going to be Omerta.
And you are absolutely right. Look, Omerta has had the most recent match. Poker of Pain, they're a little bit rusty working together as a tag, and I think it showed here. But it did create a hot match. The fans were in. We're seeing a nice overness boost and morale boost, as well as a little bit of popularity for each. It starts the feud off well, and you got a holy shit moment. Quincy McKenzie refusing to give up as he crawled for 2 minutes in Jack Azrael's submission. Don't know why you're going for a submission in a tables match, but fuck it. It seemed to work out really well, and the crowd was
Yeah,
in. So
like I said, at the end of the day, they're putting these tables together and throwing each other through them. And because Eduardo agrees with me, I've gifted him, a holy shit moment.
yeah,
So glad
I
glad that we could come together for that.
I do think the fact that Poker of Pain was going for submissions makes sense in canon why they lost
Hmm.
this match.
Hmm.
Like they were
Hmm.
going to hurt, Omerta was going to win, and Omerta gets them out in a 4-star match. Very solid for an opening match. But we now go to a video package. Layla Abelos, who has been really,
Ooh,
I mean,
spicy.
it's a hot segment, and that's going to get her very importantly over the 1,000 point threshold. Obviously, the face of the company journey does not start until after the pay per view. That's when the game kind of does its milestone checks. So
Hmm.
this just gets her to that position. But that's very clearly the goal, and it's easy to understand why, because Layla is a very talented performer. She's had the Campeonato Cuyin belt before. She lost it somewhat recently, but she's still fighting to get it back. And as one of the top female contenders in this company, it's no surprise that the fans are enjoying getting some more Layla content. And Philip Keller did his fucking job. And I just I
Congrats, Phil. Congrats.
especially for Eduardo, who has been fucked over by managers so much. I am very happy to see it. That's a nice 4.25 star effectiveness there, and a nice boost for Layla. But of course, we have to move on to a fascinating feud here between Clayton Brown and Chakal Pro. Chakal Pro, as you know, the leader of Sagrada Familia, was previously feuding with a faction mate, Gabriel Rivera, a faction that he was very clearly winning until the last fight that mattered at Deadly Gambit. And he's pissed about it, right? He needs to prove himself as a faction leader, as you can't just drop matches to subordinates like that and still expect people to see you as the best lucha wrestler in the Campeonato de Luchasaur. And with Arcangel de Fuego, the School of the Phoenix, at his corner, he wants to win this match. Of course, Clayton Brown also wants to win this match. Sagrada Familia and the Constellation, which is Clayton's tag team, they've had some back and forths previously, and Clayton, he hasn't had a win in singles competition yet. He's a very talented wrestler for a 29-year-old face. A lot of great traits here. A risk-taking, gifted acrobat is always fun to see, and taking risks in a first blood match does seem to be a good strategy. But the question I pose to you, Xander, is it enough to overcome Chakal Pro tonight?
I don't think it's enough to overcome Chakal Pro tonight. Chakal Pro is just too good right now. He's on a losing streak. He's, one of the best lucha wrestlers. All right, and I think he's just going to dominate Clay.
You know, I can see why you'd think that. But the thing you need to note is that Clayton's only at 801 popularity, and Eduardo really likes him being a main eventer, and Chakal Pro needs to get his head on straight. So Clayton's getting a win, and he gets the good psychology bonus. The game thinks that was the right call, kept the fans guessing in terms of where this was starting. Now, Chakal's mad about it, and he can be mad if he wants. 99 going to 94 morale is fine, but it's a big win for Clayton Brown. A nice 21 popularity gives you a little bit more of a cushion to start giving some wins back to Chakal when he inevitably gets his stuff together. And most importantly, this was the first blood match in the history of the Campeonato de Luchasaur.
Great first blood match. Not happy with the result. I'm not.
Oh man, is the heel announcer mad that the heel lost? I can't believe it.
Surprising everyone, surely.
Surprising everybody. Well, here's another surprise for you. Eduardo is taking a page out of your book by layering some feuds here. Allison Cruzan, a member of Bittersweet, has been going toe to toe with Lethal Tempo, which is Skull Dredson's tag. That back and forth has been really tough for any individual team to get the advantage, though Bittersweet has held it recently ever since they won the belt. But Allison Cruzan's never had a singles match before. And Skull Dredson says, look, my tag partner's tired, but that doesn't mean I'm done with you. I believe that I am a better wrestler. and that I have what it takes to beat you. And if you don't have your partner protecting you, then I'm going to take you down. And it is hard to argue with the killer, Skull Dredson. But Alison Cruzan comes from the wasteland. She does not believe that anyone is too big for her to take down, especially after a couple months as the Guardianes del Pucara Femenino champion. You know that tag belt has to be increasing her confidence. The question is it enough to overtake Skull Dredson in this match?
I think that Skull Dredson gets the dub here.
Mm.
I think this is Skull Dredson saying, "Hey, I've done solos matches before. You're unfamiliar." And at the end of the day, no matter what happens in this match, I've already won because of the layered feuds. Which, well done to Eduardo. You want to make this count? Give it to the heel here. Pump her numbers up. Get her over. Skull Dredson to the moon.
Yes, you have accurately ascertained. Look, it was going to be Alison Cruzan for a bit because she's 3 popularity away from being a main eventer, but it turns out being a belt holder means she's going to get there sooner rather than later. And Skull getting over would have been huge. Now, this match didn't quite go the way that he hoped, I think.
Unlucky.
Yeah, I mean, look, it is 1 percentage point over, so Skull Dredson now closer than she was. But yeah, it's a hit to Alison Cruzan. The street fight seemed to hurt more than it helped, but it did lead to a holy shit moment as Skull Dredson hit Alison Cruzan with a hard headbutt that almost knocked both of them out. The fans love that. And I do think while the start to this feud maybe isn't exactly what they were hoping for, it does continue the Lethal Tempo Bittersweet feud. It's a fine match, one that can be happily dropped, assuming that the rest of the card lives up to what Eduardo is building towards.
For sure. Definitely a little unfortunate, and I like the match, but, always sucks to have that roll a little low.
Yeah, but I will say, the next time these two go head to head, Alison Cruzan, with the storyteller, has an increased chance for a hot feud. And I do think that if this feud goes hot, there's going to be a lot of room for both of them, especially when Skull is a 4-3. But for now, we move on to another new feud. We've had a couple new feuds tonight that are really setting the tone for the next era of the Campeonato de Luchasaur. And this is Gabriel Rivera versus Gambler. We already talked about Gabriel Rivera and his big win over Chakal Pro. But this is also House of Hardcore from the Gambler versus La Sagrada Familia and Gabriel. Gambler just finished disposing his own singles opponent in Matthew No, someone he'd been feuding back and forth with for quite a while. But ultimately, both of these guys, right, they're not faction leaders. And while Gabriel Rivera does have a win, it's just the one. He took a lot of L's before that point. Gambler's got a little bit of a cleaner sheet, but he's also new to the main event status. So both of these wrestlers have a lot to prove tonight if they're going to assert themselves as a mainstay of top-tier competition in the Campeonato de Luchasaur. Who would you give the nod to tonight, Xander?
Oh, I don't know. This one's kind of tough because I think both of them could really use wins. Um, I mean, if I'm going to do this and this is a new feud, right,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm giving it to Gambler here because I want to keep them. I want to push Gambler up a little bit closer to Gabrielle. And even if the goal here is to have Gabrielle win the feud, I'm giving it to the heel early. He's 809 popularity. He benefits from getting comfortably over. He's 2-4, and I know Gabrielle's 1-7.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I just like I said, I in my mind, you want Gabrielle later to probably win this feud and move on as now, being at or close to face of the company status. But in order to do that, you kind of got to give Gambler a win or two. And maybe you want to do it later, but I would do it here. I think leading it off with the heel getting the win, especially at 809. And, let's be real, that pink suit. It's just kind of fire. The morale too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like I said, for all of the reasons, I'm giving it to Gambler.
The morale, I think, is the one that really set it over the edge. Particularly, we've joked about the bad luck that Eduardo has had with
That's
some
fair.
of his producers. He has twice tried to reassure Gambler and had it backfire both times.
Nice. So yeah,
So it turns
definitely.
out Gambler needs a win. And
Yep.
this is a solid start. It's a nice morale boost for him. It's a nice 19-point popularity. It's an only a 3 3/4 star match. I imagine that the first blood effect was decreased. Yeah, I mean it was a bronze gimmick, and we know that gold gimmicks can still have that from time to time. So it's an unfortunate low roll, but it does come with another holy shit moment. His third of the night.
Yeah,
Gambler hitting.
paying for his evening.
Yeah, it's a nice lariat. The ratings boost for first blood matches has increased moving forward, so that's a very valuable level up. That
Well
gives
done.
him a new tool in the arsenal. And yeah, I mean, I think obviously, like, I personally, I always tend to prefer 4 3s over 3 4s, right? Because the work rate can do the most towards getting you that extra bit of a ratings boost. But I think the Gambler's very good on the mic and is very charismatic. I would not be surprised if Eduardo can mix in a good amount of matches and segments, that this feud can really shine. And when you start getting those hot feuds, you start getting those hot segments, you can really start to build some momentum and get a lot of higher scores on here. So
For sure, for sure. But like I said, also, you got one guy that can go to the moon. But for him to get there by the end of that feud, or rather, for him to get there without the feud ending, similar to, Phil Hangtime and Deputy Newland, you
yeah,
gotta give the lower guy at least 1 or 2 wins. You
yeah.
don't wanna make the mistake where you got to build a feud just so you can end another one.
That's a very good point, especially when you're someone like Eduardo who does not like to have more than one active feud for a wrestler at a
Precisely.
time.
Yep.
Gotta
Yep.
make the most of that ecosystem there.
Yep.
But here's a feud that has had quite the back and forth. Suki Akiyama and Violetta. Suki, of course, got 3 early wins in their head to head feud. Violetta was stuck in her head, could not figure out how to get a solos victory after losing the Campeonato Ryan belt, right? And finally, as of the last pay per view, Violetta, well, not the last pay per view, excuse me, the match before the pay per view, the go home show, Violetta
Yes.
finally got the monkey off her back, finally got a victory, and then they got to Deadly Gambit and they lost the elimination match to Ivy Chavez. So both of these wrestlers are going in. They've got a lot to prove to the larger audience, to Eduardo as someone who's trying to figure out which of these two very talented women, both 4 3s, 22 years old, both with a lot of nice traits that can certainly go a long way for them, which one deserves the shot at the title. And of course, when the stakes are high, lock them in a steel cage, make them work for it, make them earn it, and that's the story of the day here. Xander, which of these two do you think's getting the nod tonight?
Yeah, this is rough. I mean, I like both these wrestlers, and I will tell you, I am a little personally biased toward Violetta. That's who I'm rooting for tonight. They both could use wins. They both benefit. Neither hurt too much in terms of winning or losing. So I'm going with the upside. Push that face up a little bit. She's closer to that margin. And she's just really just a talented wrestler. And like I said, I like her a little bit more than I like Suki right now.
I get it. I love Violetta because Violetta was in my first league that I ran for this game, so I have an attachment there. Um, However, Eduardo told me as we were booking this that he's a Suki fan, and so it turns out that when push comes to shove, that's the way he leans. And look at that. I don't know if it's a hot match, but it's certainly won 5 stars. The crowd is in. Both of them get popularity bumps, including Suki now just 4 popularity away from starting her own journey to becoming a face of the company. Not that Layla is far away, or Violetta, I should say, is far away by any means, only 23 points away. It was a hot match. Because they're both at 100% overness, there was no way of demonstrating that. That's how you fucking do it. It's a nice increase for the steel cage match and a nice victory overall tonight. Definitely the highlight of the card so far, alongside the Clayton Brown Chakal Pro match. We've got a quick main event package here. The only thing to note is that Vince Bailey did his goddamn job, and they got another positive producer bonus. This has been a nice string. Did they block your PayPal Xander, or what's going on?
I didn't send any PayPal this week. That's really it's on me. I didn't get around to it. I've been busy. And when I took that trip down to Chile to have words with Eduardo when we last recorded, it just slipped my mind. I mean, it's something I normally do on the plane before I'm on my way to sabotage, the Campeonato de Luchasor.
Yes,
But
regularly
I
making that
just
plane trip for sure.
yeah. I mean, I make it weekly, because I got to get down there and make sure that people know how to do their job, which is to sabotage the job Eduardo's doing.
Mhm.
Like I said, it's really about making sure all of that bad luck really ends up on one person, and then that way, when I give him holy shit moments, he's even more grateful. You know,
The long
uh,
con is truly in play here. Well,
yep.
it unfortunately not getting that PayPal in is good news for Eduardo, and we've got a good match on our shoulders here with Brady Velasquez and Ty Flaw. Now, both of these guys, right? They lost their last feuds. They struggled to step up when it mattered, which was particularly harsh for Ty Flaw because he won some of those early matches in that feud and then just kind of fell apart towards the end there. But here's the thing: these two have been feuding for a bit, but they have yet to have a one-on-one match. And Ty and Brady went to Eduardo and said, "Hey, we want our opportunity to show off what we can do. We don't want to just be in a multi-man match and just be taking another L here among everything else that we're doing. We want to earn our path. We want to earn a win for ourselves, and that means let's get a street fight going. Let's have the two of these guys beat the crap out of each other and see which one of them can channel the raw talent that they clearly both have. Both very talented wrestlers on paper. The question, Xander, is which one's going to put it all together tonight?
Yeah, again, Eduardo putting a lot of talented guys that need wins on the card tonight. I see what he's doing to build up for the pay-per-view, and I love it. And this is a rough choice for me because I really want Brady Velasquez to break the 3-match losing streak, start getting some wins here, and go toward that face of the company status. He's got El Arcangel de Fuego behind him. I love the narrative here that happens around him. But simultaneously, man, Ty Flaw rather would benefit from a win pretty enormously.
Yeah.
0-4, 821, at risk of becoming no longer main eventer. I think it's going to go to Ty Flaw tonight. My personal pick would be Brady, but again, I 4-4, with the stuff that he's got going on, and to keep him happy and to keep him in that main event status, and keep all this close, then you give it to Ty.
Yeah, you have accurately ascertained exactly why Ty Flaw is getting the win tonight. It's a hot match, 4.25 star between the two of them. A nice popularity boost for each, right? Which is exactly what you love to see. A nice feud increase, which, by the way, that feud went hot, which you'll love to see here. Brady Velasquez, Ty Flaw get a lot more room now. They said, look, give us a match. Let us show off what we can do. And the crowd was in. Even if that 4.25 star doesn't quite tell the whole story, it does lead to a holy shit moment, right? Ty Flaw suplexing Brady Velasquez from the apron through a table outside. That's his 4th holy shit moment of the night. This card has more than paid for itself. It's nice to turn a profit on a weekly even before the ratings card comes in. And yeah, just a really nice setup for what's coming down the line.
I love to see it.
Yeah.
Good match, good decision making. I approve.
Well, you know what else you love to see is the Campeonato Ryan Championship being defended on a weekly. Alyssa Rose and Kelly Torres. Look, we all know the story of Kelly Torres. She got some wins, earned her chance at a title spot, struggled in that feud early, and then when she finally overtook Haley for the title, Alyssa Rose immediately cashed in and took it from her. That is a grudge that Kelly will take to the grave, I am sure. But here's the thing: Alyssa may have used that cash in order to take the title here, but she's also defended it quite well. She's won the last 3 matches and really proven, having held it for 3 months now, that was not a fluke. That was not just someone taking a briefcase and running with it. This is a very talented wrestler, this 21-year-old 4-4 heel, who Kelly Torres just hasn't seemed to figure out. So the question is, with a ladder match, something that can kind of equalize maybe some of these differing styles and strategies that Alyssa's been able to emulate, is this when Kelly finally overtakes Alyssa, or does Alyssa retain tonight?
I think Alyssa retains tonight.
I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a title belt on a weekly, let's be clear. But it's a 4 3/4 star match, which is the right match to double. Obviously, one of the 5 stars would be a little bit preferred, but it's still a very nice match and a very big moment. Keeps that feud going even further. It's a hot match that increases the hype substantially. No holy shit moment, but a nice bit of boost for the Campeonato Ryan Championship, right? This is a firmly gold belt, even with the quick cash in that has the rain penalty from time to time. So, a very nice show here overall. And let's check the score. It is a 4.5 star
Big.
card.
It's a good card.
It's a great card, and if it wasn't for the fact that last card suffered from that squash match, I think Eduardo would be feeling pretty good about it, because 4.5 was the highest anybody scored in a weekly last week. We will see how it compares to the rest of the competition, because another person who's hungry for some points and is tied with you so far in these weeklies is Walter. Walter's been putting in some work trying to, take advantage of some of the faction feud mechanics that you've turned him onto for a while now. Certainly has a lot of interesting storylines that have inspired several other members of this game. Certainly inspired me to put a little bit more effort into my storytelling. And we're going to see just how that all comes together tonight. Are you ready, Xander?
Oh, I'm ready.
Well, let's start with a match between Hollywood Bound defending their title against Baja Lucha. Now, here's the thing.
Interesting.
Here's the thing about Hollywood Bound is they do not take kindly to what they believe are transgressions. They were just backstage, and one of the members of Hollywood Bound bumped into Rey Sangre, and Rey didn't apologize. And, obviously, according to Hollywood Bound, Baja Lucha should apologize for getting in the way of the champions. What are you doing in my space, in my air? And if you're going to get in my way like this, well, we might as well settle this in a match. Now, Baja Lucha, obviously, Surfista Hermano Santos and Rey Sangre, who just came back from a stint back in the training roster, where he got a little bit more of a push, a little bit more popularity here. How do you think this match is going to turn out here, Xander?
I mean, this is an interesting match. Very, very interesting. I think Hollywood Bound take it, though.
Yeah, I mean, I would think it would help Baja Lucha to be in this match. It doesn't seem to have helped from a popularity perspective, unfortunately. It is a 4.25 star match. Hollywood Bound taking a bit of a morale hit. I think they don't like wrestling someone so much lower down the card, but it was a strong match. People enjoyed it. There's a feud now that has started. We'll see how much Walter does or does not take use of that. I do think it's very interesting that he added a feud here, but did not add one for a match we're going to see later in this card. So we will see how all of that turns out. But for now, Baja Lucha, at the very least, they have a wrestling match on the card. They have officially wrestled as a tag again, and we will see what they can do against maybe a tier of opponent that is closer to where they are currently. But we move on to a 2v2 match. Now, we know this headhunting feud between Jules Murphy and Drew King has been going on for a while, right? Drew King wants to take Jules Murphy and add him to the kingdom because he doesn't think the lads can give Jules Murphy everything he needs. Jules Murphy, sick of it. He's sick of the attempts. And Drew King's like, look, okay, we'll do one more match at Heatwave that will finally decide this headhunting feud. Either you are joining me or I drop this and it's over. Jules Murphy says, okay, we'll settle this at Heatwave. I'm okay with that, but I want to choose the stipulation. And Drew King's like, if you want to do that, you beat me in a 2v2 tonight. I've got Alexander Palmer right here. I'm sure you can find somebody that would be willing to wrestle you, but you can't pick a member of the lads. The lads are not here to help you, right? If you can do this without me, you can do it without them, right? And Jules makes what? So I'm just supposed to team up with whoever the next person to walk in the locker room is, which is when Kevin Bates shows up. And Jules kind of, does the like look to the camera. It's like, okay, Kevin, you want to wrestle tonight? And so here we are, Kevin Bates and Jules Murphy versus the Kingdom. Who do you think's taking the W tonight, Xander?
Man, again, Walter, I like always matchups that I am very curious about how the game mechanics will play out, even though I know they're not remotely the consideration. I think it's got to be the Kingdom, though. Like, I feel like it has to be the Kingdom. They're going to be the more experienced, ones in this group here with Palmer and King, I believe. And yeah, it's going to be the Kingdom.
Well, I understand why you would think that way, because I personally subscribe to the idea, right? Like, people who have wrestled together should always be better in a duos match than people who haven't. But I think Walter has big plans for Jules Murphy.
Got it.
Jules Murphy and Kevin Bates are indeed getting the win. It's a 4 3/4 star match, so the fans clearly agree that that was the right call. And it does mean that Jules Murphy gets to choose the stipulation, which he has not announced yet. Perhaps he will announce at the next weekly show. But it's a nice win for him. Jules Murphy, honestly, not Jules Murphy. Kevin Bates, simply happy to be here, right? What a nice win for him that he gets to wrestle against this tier of competition, something he has not always been able to do. And yeah, Alexander Palmer has to be kind of shaking his head like, oof, not the way we wanted this one to go. But we'll see. That match at Heatwave is going to be the one that decides it all at the end of the day. It looks like your PayPal to Amelie Gonzalez may have arrived. I don't believe she was actually assigned to that segment. I'm not sure. But either way, the producer focus is unfortunate.
We'll take it.
I had a feeling you might. It's 4 stars, though. You can do a lot worse than a 4 star.
Yeah, it's not
segment.
bad.
Yeah.
But, I guess I didn't give Amelie enough money. She's been doing a good job lately. I got you, Amelie. I got you. Don't
You're
worry.
You're going to
Next
have to
time.
just add a Google Calendar alert to make sure that you're PayPaling all of these managers before they block you. Once they hit level 3, of course. But we had a headhunting match just a moment ago, and after the main event package, which, by the way, you're not going to want to miss the main event, Eternum versus Short, in a 3v3 match. Daniel Stevenson and Ethan Wild, obviously the two main factors in there, but the Killers, Algenico, and M60 also should make for a very fun time. But before that, Axel Dust and Assassino have some business to attend to. Assassino has been trying to prove to Christopher Devlin that he is indeed the right pick to be his bodyguard, right? That he can keep Christopher Devlin from having to deal with the riffraff, with the wrestlers that are beneath him. And Axel Dust, since that match, bob and weave, does not want to get in Assassino's way, is tired of wrestling the guy, and ultimately it can be a very grueling sequence of matches that Assassino tends to prefer when it comes to the gimmicks. And he's done a good job dodging, but tonight, Assassino has him quartered, and it is a first blood match. So Axel obviously would love to prove that, he's not scared of Assassino anymore, given the back and forth that they have had in solo matches. But Assassino, the unruly face of Carnage, may have other plans. Who do you think's taking the W tonight?
Yeah, again, Walter's out here doing the thing. But that being said, Axel Dust and Assassino, there's only one person I can root for, and it's not Axel Dust. It's Assassino, okay? The assassin, the guy who should really do his job better. And that's who I'm rooting for tonight.
Well, I have some good news. Is that Assassino
Yay!
the win?
Unfortunately, the match kind of sucked. But,
the match wasn't great, but
feud was hot.
The feud went hot. It's a nice overness boost for each of them. Axel Dust now on his way to getting over with the fans, which is very nice to see. Also, a nice holy shit moment, Assassino slapping the taste out of Axel Dust's mouth before the two of them started brawling. Another great way to get some overness there. So, I think Axel, certainly there have got to be bigger plans for him in the long run, if only because I'm pretty sure that Walter has a talent request to get him up to being a main eventer by the end of not this month but next month. But for now, Assassino, a very nice win, and it's going to do a lot to his credibility. Christopher Devlin, I'm sure, very pleased backstage, though he's probably too busy to watch this one himself. He'll catch the highlights later on YouTube, I'm sure. But we have right now a backstage attack. As you know, this Eternum Short Civil War has gotten a little dirty, right? These wrestlers are doing whatever it takes to try to get an advantage here. And I guess it shouldn't be a surprise that Wesley Lee Morris has attacked Kyle Lucha backstage. He's trying to do everything he can to weaken Eternum so that when Ethan Wilde takes Daniel Stevenson out, when it finally comes to a close, whether it's at Heatwave or the next pay-per-view, that this is going to be that Eternum will be brought to their knees and forced to accept that Short is the superior faction. And these kind of backstage attacks do really well, man. Look at that Greatest Wrestler extra 24 hype between the two of them.
Huge. Yeah, no, the backstage attacks are popping off really hard.
Yeah. It also set the feud hot because segments, just like matches, can go hot and can give extra boosts here. So increasing the overness by 3% for each of them, very nice to see. And it's a great way, right? Like, this gets the feud going without Wesley Lee Morris having to step back in the ring with 47% fatigue. All in all, really great strategy from Walter tonight. I think really well done. But of course, we move on to a champion package now, which, let's be real, Empress Kabuki loves to talk about herself and her strengths and why she's so awesome and the best thing that's ever happened to this company. And it's no surprise that people seem to enjoy the package 4.25 star here, a very solid rating, giving Empress a little bit more popularity and giving the belt a little bit of a boost. Fun fact, this is apparently the SWA's first champion package, so only a matter of time before Ethan Wilde and Christopher Devlin get some highlights, I am sure.
Soon.
But for now, we turn to an interesting match between Viper Gaston and Thomas Austin. Now, Viper, of course, has been down and out after falling out with his brother Cobra, right? The two of them were a tag, and Cobra made it very clear that he believes that Viper was the problem and why the tag team was held at back. Because, let's face it, Cobra's the golden child, right? He has gotten his belt, and he has held on to the Theodore Vincent Memorial belt for 6 months now. So he never loses, and he never lost until Viper, I should say, got in his way. So Viper, of course, those words from Cobra are harsh. It sucks to hear a brother talk to you like that. And, the thing you've got to do is prove yourself, right? You have to prove that you're just as capable as Cobra if you want to be treated like you are and be respected by not just your brother, but from the crowd too, Viper has a lot to prove in this point. 0-5 so far in singles competition. And Walter said, look, I can give you a match. I'm happy to do so, but you have to work your way up the card. I'm not just going to let you fight some main eventer tonight. Why don't you go up against Thomas Austin? Thomas Austin's a talented heel, 3 overness away from becoming a 4-3. Hasn't had as many matches, but he is a stiff worker, which really helps for matches without gimmicks like this one is. Like, you're going to have a good match. It's going to be, if you're going to be what you want to be, then this should be easy for you, right? So the question is this the Viper's first win, or does Thomas take him a step down from these already low point in Viper's career?
Viper.
I mean, yeah, right? Like, he needs to get a win under his belt. That's unfortunate. A 3.25 star match. I imagine it's just because Viper's not that great in the ring as a 2-star work rate. But look,
Yeah.
you're building up some long term storytelling. The feud maybe doesn't get the most love, but you get the result you're looking for, which is that he wins by a hair. This is a close match. Walter wanted to make sure it was very clear that Viper had to work for it. Unfortunately, fans don't seem to have loved it as much as Viper clearly did. Cobra, unsurprisingly, had other things to do tonight, but we will see if Viper can prove himself against a higher tier of opponent down the line. But this one, you might know there's no feud here. That's because this is a one-off that comes from Angelina Cardinal, who has disposed of Maestro Gomez, saying, look, I need a match to prepare myself for my upcoming match with Empress Kabuki, right? I'm going to challenge Empress for the title, and I don't do that if I'm rusty. And so she's talking to Amanda Ace, like, yeah, I just need to figure out who I'm willing to fight. And they run into Livia backstage, and Livia does the classic trash talk heel play, right? There's a reason that you lost your title in the first place. I wish Maester Gomez had taken you out, right? Like, just getting up in her face. And Angelina just looks over to Amanda and goes, hey, Livia, do you want to do a 2v2 match tonight? To which Livia's like, I mean, I guess if I need to find a tag partner, and Marie Barrett, who is technically a member of the Scribner family, is like, hey, I'll fight with you. I'll team up with you. We can do this for sure. And so that's the match that we have in front of us. Livia and Scribner and Marie Barrett going up against Amanda Ace and Angelina Cardinal.
The lads.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the lads and the Scribners.
Yep, the lads. That's my answer.
Oh, the lads. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, for sure. It's another three
Oh
and a quarter
no.
star. I mean, here's the thing, right? These are the two matches that can be dropped. I think you like when you have no gimmick and there's no
Yeah.
feud.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's
Yep.
hard,
Yep.
right? But it does what needs to be done, which is Amanda Ace gets a little bit of a morale boost because her morale was a little bit low. Angelina Cardinal in story gets to prove herself a little bit here. I think, you know, Walter can definitely go for the less is more strategy sometimes. It has worked in a couple big ways earlier tonight. But obviously, these last two matches just a little bit lower and without the hype to help out. Maybe not quite the result that he was hoping for. But he's closing with a banger, Xander.
It is a banger. No, this match is exciting. It is very hype.
Eternum versus Chart in that 3v3 match. Obviously, Ethan Wilde is starting to get into Daniel Stevenson's head, right? Chart is like, look, you should have let Ethan Wilde take control. It was only Daniel's ego that got in the way of him recognizing that Ethan Wilde was the rightful leader of this faction. Daniel Steven is a narcissist who can't get out of his own way, believes that he's the only one who knows how Eternum should function. And let's be clear, might makes right. Ethan Wilde has a belt and Daniel Stevenson does not. So this is really, at the end of the day, Ethan Wilde just doing everything he can alongside the Killers who have become his, I don't want to say lackeys because that implies the Dead Killer and Legend
Lieutenants.
Killer. The lieutenants. Lieutenants is a great word for it. His lieutenants have been here and by his side regularly. And meanwhile, Daniel Stevenson, he gets Al Genico and M60, who I believe are in a tag team of their own, and says, hey, look, this is a 3v3. This is our opportunity to show that we are just as capable as they are, that we are, we're the originals for a reason, and we're fine without them. So that's the question. Does Eternum prove themselves and prove that they don't need no Ethan Wilde to be a successful faction?
I think it's short night. I think this is close, but I think it's short night.
It does indeed seem to be short night tonight, and that's a nice win, a 4.5-star match, which is a fine match to duplicate here. A minor overness loss to some member of the Eternum trio here, but ultimately it does what it needs to do. I don't think, yeah, just the feud benefit here. No holy shit moment. But the Civil War continues. The greatest wrestler feud between Ethan and Daniel rolls on, and the storylines continue to build up with some crowd energy behind them as they head into Heatwave. It is a 4.25 star card tonight. Walter replicating his result from the last weekly, so that ties him with Eduardo at this point in time, with both of our cards left to play. But I think this is a card you can take a lot of positives off of, right? Especially the backstage attack. I think that's going to be huge, getting that feud over. And the Jules Murphy King King
Yeah.
stuff has worked
No,
really, really
listen,
well.
there's a lot of long-term stuff that got built on this card. Of course, it was close to being a 4.5 star with that last match, but just some stuff didn't go right. At the end of the day, though, definitely nothing to be salty about. That was a good card. You pushed a lot of narratives. You built some new feuds. You did a lot of big things.
Absolutely. And speaking of some big things coming down the pipeline, Xander, what can people expect from Glory of Legends tonight?
They can expect a lot more belts than you would normally see on one of our weeklies.
See, what I love about you, Xander, being the competitive person that you are, is that you say to yourself, well, I threw away the first weekly, but I'm close enough that I should really push for the second and third one so that I can get a point. And you're right to do so. It's still very much anyone's game. And with three different championships on the card, I do have a good feeling that this could be both a high scoring and a high hype card. Um, but talk to us first with this elimination match between two members of the new faction, Kanoto Carius and Love Hurts.
Yeah, so Kanoto Karius, which you've got Cage and Cassidy here. They've been sitting there saying, "Hey, listen, we want to take it to the face factions that are close to us, the faces that are close to us, and we think the best use of our time right now to get, they just to clarify, they really do see themselves as kind of like these." Like for lack of a better term, bandits. They see themselves as someone that comes, they strike fast, they strike hard, they take everything you got, they put you in the dirt, and then they ride off, without being, you being able to go after them. And so this is them trying to get a big hit on Love Hurts, which of course is one of the more recent tag teams, and one of the big new face tags in the entire promotion, and especially where this section is right below the main eventers for the card. So again, this is them saying, "Hey, we're a little bit lower than these guys, but if we come in, we strike hard, we strike fast, we're going to get the win."
Yeah, it is very interesting. Obviously, this is playing off the Cassidy Love Hendricks feud that we've seen. These are all people, they've never had a tag match together before, but obviously they've had some good solos. Some solo experience. Certainly, Cassidy would love to turn around or Xander Cage more even would love to turn around that solos record. So I kind of like the idea of Kanoto Karius getting the win here.
Yeah, and you're right. They're going to get the win here.
I do love to see it. Though, it's funny. I mean, obviously, it's a hot match, which boosts each of their overness by 3%, which you'll love to see, especially for Kanata Carius, because they are actually people in both of these teams still need to get over. So, Matt Payne now on the way. You get a holy shit moment with Cassidy hitting Love Kendricks with 3 consecutive finishers. And Xander Cage and Cassidy both stand strong at the end of this while getting this feud in a really nice spot between Cassidy and Love Hendricks. But I just can't help but think, Walter, that you've built a duo here in Xander Cage and Cassidy that could be a really good tag team if they got an opportunity.
Yeah, wow, that sounds, really crazy. Like it's almost like that they should Oh my gosh. Are they evolving?
Whoa! What
Wait,
happened?
what happened? Okay.
Wow!
Very interesting.
It just that was the worst low roll I've ever seen.
They got -4% overness and a
Yes,
1.25. Okay, well, that
they
ruins my chance to push the weekly further. Unfortunate. I just
30% effectiveness.
yeah.
I haven't seen a 30 even when our production our producers were trash.
Yeah, you know, happens, I guess. This is the I think this is the lowest roll anyone's ever gotten in our entire time, and naturally, I listen. It's fine. I've had most of the high rolls. I can't even pretend to be mad
Yeah,
here.
you may or
You
may not
know.
have talked a lot of shit about wanting Eduardo to get all the bad luck at the start of this, so
Yeah,
some could
yeah. You
say.
know. Listen, it happens. The game clearly does not want me to get a point for the weekly, and that's okay because we're here to push narrative anyway.
Absolutely. I just, man, that's wild to me.
Yeah.
I wonder because I mean, obviously, like there's some charisma between these two. I think one of them's even like for charisma, but man, oh man. Well, I can't believe
I
I'm saying
actually
this.
think they're both 3-2s, to be honest.
Oh, are they?
So,
Mm.
yeah, but I mean, that's still just the most obscene low roll
I mean,
possible.
even
So,
if you, I mean, you obviously used your producer later in this card, but even if you
yeah,
had your producer here, it wouldn't have been enough to get it over 2 stars,
I
right?
don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless the producer really popped the fuck off. But yeah,
Oh,
hey, listen, the new association. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. The tag team is going to be very
yeah.
successful. The match was very successful.
Yeah.
Again, the game's trying. The game knows how strong I am,
Hmm.
and it knows that every now and then it has to keep me down just a little bit so the rest of you have a chance to win.
That you know what, I appreciate you, game, for doing that because someone has to. Um, but look, it's gonna. We've got a great match ahead of us. We will move forward with Regan Awesome versus Animal Fukuoka. Excuse me. The hiccups at the worst time here. Xander, while I get that in gear, tell us about this match.
Yeah, so listen, Animal came out in his, debut and put quite a show on. People really were, impressed by, his animalistic nature. And they like seeing him wrestle Regan because, these are two factionless wrestlers and they're really, vying here. Regan of course trying to, this is our home feud, saying, "Hey, listen, this is us. We are the glory of legends, and if you want to be here you got to come and show up and you got to get past young talent like myself." Meanwhile Animal says, "Hey, listen, I've got no problem getting past you, bud. I've got my sights set bigger." And the fans so far have loved it because again you're watching arguably two of the for lack of a better term, most eligible bachelors in the promotion, in terms of being factionless.
Yeah.
And whoever comes out on top of this not just benefits from, of course, winning this feud, but they're going to be looked at as a key target for all of the top factions. If Animal comes out on top of this, there's already murmurs that, Burn It All Down and Conquest or Death have their eyes set on him. Meanwhile, Regan Awesome was, of course, being courted by Brigantia and Young Revolution. However, if he wins this, For the People are saying, you know what, this guy might have what it takes to join us and be here at the top, consistently contesting the highest level feuds. So this feud inherently, with where these two are at, is a big deal. And whoever comes away with this is on fire right now.
I mean, absolutely. I love Regan Awesome. He was in my first game, and obviously, I think he was in that like first bigger Brigantia feud, the one that got like
Yes,
immediately
Band of
disbanded.
Brigands. Yep, he
And
was in
so,
Band of Brigands.
and,
Correct.
and he hasn't found a new home yet, and there will be a part of me that just wants him to find a new home. But I could also totally see Animal just because he's a new wrestler. I mean, I don't know. There might be someone in this call who tends to give his new wrestlers multiple wins in order to boost them up the card early on and make them a vital part of the world building and narrative. So, like, if you did that, I couldn't, I don't know. It seems like a thing that a smart person would also do.
Well, I'm happy to make you happy tonight because Regan's getting the win.
Hey, I'll take it. 4.25 star. It's a nice hot feud. Well done on that part. Animal taking a couple popularity points, but nothing he can't handle. A nice boost for the This Is Our Home, and a holy shit moment here. Regan Awesome suplexing Animal Fukuoka into the apron. The fans are going wild, and I think this is a really nice. This is a feud I would love to see you continue to expand on, since these are
Oh
wrestlers
yeah,
that are
don't
great.
worry. You're gonna see more of it coming,
Absolutely. Great to hear.
especially now that it went hot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But we have two wrestlers out in the promo. I mean, this is Braden Castle and Black Bull. What brings us to the
Yeah,
ring here with
so
these two?
so folks have heard me talk about some of the orientations in the factions, and that every now and then there's always been a guy there, or two, or gal that have been kind of an olive branch to some of the other factions, and been willing to work together in some of their mutual goals. Braden was that guy for the people. He was willing to reach out, as a heel, to other heel factions and say, listen, we're not feuding right now. Let's take it to these guys, whether it's, working together with Burn It All Down for Conquest or Death, to take them down, or vice versa, or just reaching out to some of the other heels and saying, hey, listen, we don't have anything going on right now. I can be cool with you. You can be cool with me. But Braden has changed his mind. Everyone in For the People has been telling him, Braden, you're a better guy than this. You have so much talent, and you have so much potential to not just be, like the best tag member of For the People.
Mhm.
You could be a leader the same way Alex Jim is. You could be someone that takes us to new heights, and also does it while overtaking guys like the Hang Times and overtaking guys like Black Bull and Executioner Goro. You can be that guy. And Braden says, finally, you know what? I've sat down, I've talked to my brother, and my brother's right. I got to do something here. I have to show up. I have to be a better version of myself. But that doesn't mean that I don't get to put the hurt on people still. I just got to choose who I'm doing it to. And he does it to Black Bull.
Yeah, it's a nice face turn here. Something Braden's been excited about for a bit, I think. It's a 3.5 star segment, which
Doesn't matter at this point. It doesn't matter. We don't. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It genuinely doesn't matter.
you know what, you're right. That's silly of me. Well, here's the thing: they're in a first blood match, and I have a feeling, given that Braden just put the beat down on him, I don't
Yeah,
feel good about Black Bull in this
Black
match.
Bull's not ready. Black Bull's not ready. I mean, he just got beat up, and now he's got to get out there and wrestle. And unfortunately, he's got to do it against a guy that's working to become a face of the company.
Yeah, well, but here's the thing. Given it was a first blood match, I think the fact that Braden Castle got a head start made this result known. But it's a 4.5 star match, one that gives more popularity to Black Bull than Braden. I think the fans appreciated him provoking Braden Castle into this moment, but also standing tall and putting up a good fight in this first blood match, despite the beatdown he just got. And it
Yeah,
led
I
to a
mean,
four and a half
don't
stars
forget
match.
Black Bull is one of the core lieutenants of this faction. Of course, some other members of Burn It All Down have been outperforming him a little bit in the ring, but at the end of the day, Black Bull is the guy that Executioner sends forward. And so Black Bull, even though he got kind of baited into this, by Braden, he's not someone to back down from a fight. He's going to go out there and put on a match.
Yeah, and it's a hot match. I don't think the feud is hot yet, but a hot match is still great to see all the same, especially when accompanied by a holy shit moment. Braden Castle
You love it.
spitting in Black Bull's face. That does feel a little bit healy to me, but he is beating up the bad guy, so I think he's a face.
Yeah, again, he's that righteous fury, like
Mm-hmm.
he's the guy that is taking all of that negative energy and putting it towards some good against some bad guys. That's
Yeah.
that's how he portrays himself. That's how he sees himself. He's not trying to, smooth up his edges. He's just trying to make sure that when those edges are out, it's going against somebody that deserves it.
Absolutely. And I mean, the journey for him leads him currently on the way to being a face of the company. Your first tag member who could potentially become a face of the company. The Castle Crashers have put in great work, and I look forward to seeing where that goes. But we have to go to the Return to Glory belt here, which, and I'm making sure I'm reading this right. Eric Hangtime is overseeing this match between Bone Soldier and Guy Joe Jade. What's happening here?
Yeah, so listen, Eric Hangtime says, "Hey, you know what, Bone Soldier, it's crazy that you just got this belt and Johnny hasn't come out to represent you yet. You know what? I'm out here. I'm going to make sure you get this title defense. I'm going to help you out." And meanwhile, Bone Soldier's a little skeptical initially. He says, listen, there's stuff going on with the Hang Times. I don't know what's going on yet, but it will be nice to know that I've got a member of Conquest or Death in my corner. I'm normally the guy that's sent out alone to go do stuff for them. Definitely not burn it all down. Definitely not. That never was a thing I said. It was always conquest or death. Definitely didn't build him up as a member of Burn It All Down. It was always conquest or death. And
Yes.
and again, he's just he is really though always left usually to do stuff on his own. So this time he's got someone on his back. Meanwhile, Gaijo, he wants to close this feud out.
Mhm.
Gaijo wants to close this feud out with a win. He is so close to overcoming this, becoming a face of the company. He wants to get that belt. He wants to be a representative that For the People can be proud of. He wants to chase the heights of Alex Jim and even get back to where Alexandre Kennedy was, who just kind of leapfrogged him. And Gaijo's saying, man, that should be me right now. And not that he has anything against Alex or Alexandre, but he has his own designs on how he can be a voice for good in this promotion. But he knows that he's got to do it through members of Burn It All Down, and especially through these members of Conquest or Death.
Yeah, I mean, look, I like Gaijo Jade a lot. The Japanese cyborg, for a man with no visible cyborg components, is a great concept, and I am here for it. Um, but I have to say, it is a weekly, and so I'm gonna guess that Bone Soldier continues to do some Bone Soldier things.
Yeah, Bone Soldier's going to continue to do Bone Soldier things. Eric here to ensure that that happens.
And the blow off here is a big one, a 5.25 star match, which you love to see. Maybe you shouldn't give
Would
up on
have
the whole
loved
score
would have
thing.
loved to see.
I,
Dude, it's factoring in a 1.25 star match. I don't.
let's just see how these next two title matches treat you. Okay.
Okay, sure, whatever.
The
I'm
important
not.
the
I have
important
no
thing
faith.
for now, it's a +12 on the Return to Glory belt. That belt is continuing to build up. Well, Gaijo Jade getting a popularity boost is nice, but Bone Soldier on his way to becoming a face of the company. And if you had said Bone Soldier face of the company a month ago, Xander, you probably would have thought that I was insane. But here
I
we are.
would have genuinely thought you were insane, but for the Return to Glory belt, I got to change the name because this belt, from its intention for Glory of Legends, was to be to give people an opportunity to not fall further down the card. And thus far, every single person who's grabbed it has climbed like no less than 200 popularity in 2 matches. It's an absolute rocket ship, more so than literally any other belt. It's been crazy.
It's fascinating, but I am here for it, and I think that's only going to continue to be true when it becomes a silver star belt, which is sooner rather than later if these defenses continue. But of course, we have another special referee match, this time a triple threat. I mean, obviously, like Kurosawa is the champion and Jade's been challenging, but how did this become a three-way here?
Yeah, listen, this is the 3 core women in the lightweight division for the Glory of Legends. It's Maricela representing Burn It All Down. It's Jade representing For the People, and it is the monster Korosaru trying to retain her belt, keep everything on her while she becomes face of the company for Conquest or Death. And again, you've got another member of Conquest or Death sitting here saying, "Hey, Korosaru, you've been putting in great work. I may or may not be here to ensure that you can continue doing that."
I mean, that's the real question, right? How long can Kurosawa keep the belt? She's had it for 4 months. I do look at someone like a Jade Gatlin and see champion potential, just as this 4-4 face who's already so over with the crowd and has some really nice stats. And Maricela, she has potential. I don't think she's quite there yet, but given the rise that we just saw from Bone Soldier, it's not like she would be far away if that was the thing you wanted to do. I will say that I think the thing you're working towards doesn't happen tonight because it's a weekly, and so I'm predicting Kurosaru here,
You're right. You're right. It's a Korosaru win tonight.
and it's a 5-star match, one that boosts everybody a little bit. It is a hot match, which should be no surprise given the back and forth that these 3 women have had, especially Kurosaru feuding with each of them, I believe, individually. And
Yep.
by the way, holy shit moment, kicking out of Jade Gatlin's finisher, using her body to get up and asked to be finished off. That's a really nice match here and a nice 13 points of experience for your women's lightweight championship.
Yeah, listen, the matches are great and they're pushing the narrative though. At the end of the day, like I said, I was looking to do some big stuff with this card. Right now, we're just looking to have the narrative be hype, and we'll see where it ends up.
I mean, it continues with a 4.5 star champion package for Johnny Hangtime because, let's face it, Johnny Hangtime might not be here the way his brothers are here tonight, but he still needs his TV time.
Yeah, yeah. Johnny Hangtime is here. In fact,
Yeah.
wait, does
Uh,
that give Emperor's belt XP? It
It
does.
sure
That's
does, yeah.
amazing.
The champion package, which I believe this is the first in your company's history, gives experience for the belt and a small popularity boost for the individual. So he got
Nice.
7 points there, and it's an 88% roll, 4.5 stars, a very nice segment. But now it's time to see. Oh, sorry, excuse me. You're right. Johnny Hangtime is here as a special
Johnny
referee.
Hangtime is here.
He
Yep.
was just saving himself for this Kai Galvana Alex Gym match. So talk me through it.
So again, listen, you folks will notice there's a lot of members of Conquest or Death here tonight, and they are all doing it not just as wrestlers, but importantly, there's a lot of hang time refereeing going on. And they're putting their thumb on the scale to benefit specific wrestlers. And right now, you've got Alex Jim, who is a guy that just lost this title to Kai, wants desperately to get it back. And meanwhile, you've got Kai, who is a face of the company, who put in a lot of work, took a lot of losses in matches where Johnny was present, in matches where Alex Jim was present, in matches where Executioner Goro was present. But Kai has this belt now. And Kai wants to argue, especially with the context of Johnny feuding with his brothers, that, you know what? I'm your number two.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the guy to lead Conquest or Death beside you. All right. Forget about Emily. Forget about your brothers. All right. Phil's cool. But when you need someone to come in and help you run this promotion, all right, not just Conquest or Death, but run this promotion, I'm your guy. And I'm going to show you tonight by putting Alex Jim in his place again.
Yeah, I mean, I think, both of these guys, faces of the company. I love Alex. He had his time with the belt and he did a fantastic job with it. But tonight, it does feel like with the story you're building, Kai Galvan is about to prove himself to Johnny Hangtime.
It's not only is Kai going to prove himself, Johnny's not going to help at all. This is all Kai. Johnny is here to bear witness. Okay. Johnny is just here to bear witness. And Kai is saying, listen, I've got what it takes. I've got my head screwed on straight. All of those losses I learned from them. And now I'm here to win. I'm here to win, and I'm here to win on behalf of Conquest or Death. And Johnny, I'm here to win for you.
Yeah. And when he does, 4.75 star match. It's a hot match, which no surprise with the talent on display there. And look, this men's heavyweight belt just 23 points away from leveling up to a gold star belt. That's the power of Alex Jim when he had the belt before. But Kai Galvana proving in this match to be a more than worthy successor. But the question is, what's the score? And it's 4.25 star.
Yep.
Keeps you tied with Walter and Eduardo. So very much still in this competition, unless I am able to knock it out of the park here. Meh. I think the terrible roll on that is a bummer, and I think you're right to focus on all of the narratives that you're pushing, because everything with Conquest or Death has been fascinating to watch unfold, and I'm very excited to see when these opposite forces really come to a head here. But for now, you have to move on to Wild Magic. Because
Wild Magic.
Magically Enhanced Wrestling has a show for you tonight. We've got a couple new feuds. We have a couple. We have a new status quo for one of our factions that starts to unveil itself tonight. And I'm excited to break it down for you. So let's jump on.
Let's see it. I can't wait. Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Here's a new feud for us. Jay Xavier versus Bryce Dannenberg. Now, Jay is, just joined the Eastern Elite, right? He was a Western Watch member before Prince Pretty Pink took over the faction. He left and joined his brothers in Liquid Steel over in the Eastern Elite. And Bryce Dannenberg is trying to get in his head. He's like, look, you shouldn't be so naive to think you're one of them. just because you weren't able to cut it in the Western Watch, right? If you trust these guys, then when Liquid Steel falls apart and you're on the outside looking in, you're not going to have anything to keep you going. I'm not trying to tell you that you can't cut it, though you can't. I'm just saying you're making a mistake here. And Jay Xavier says, look, I don't need to hear it from the kind of lowlife that betrays the Northern Nightmare and does all your subterfuge that you and your brother were up to. I'm not hearing it. And I'm going to show you tonight why I don't need to take your bullshit.
And he does.
And he does. Jay Xavier with the win tonight. It's 4.25 star. I'll take that as a feud start. Certainly.
Yeah, it's a good start to a feud.
Yeah. This is one of those. Jay asked for it, so maybe not quite the depth that you'll see with some of the other storylines on the card tonight. But if it goes hot, I'm open to being convinced. I'm happy to see Jay doing well, and hopefully Bryce can do some stuff with Judgment Day that gets him up the card and makes this feud a little bit more impactful as we go forward. But now we've got it. This is
oh my gosh,
Derek Nash versus Techno Boy. Because see, here's the thing: the Hellfire Club did not send a representative to try to claim Techno Boy, because as Derek Nash says, we checked you out when you were at the training roster. We're not impressed. We're not interested. And your high flying stuff that you did last time, like, sure, that looks showy. That looks fun for a crowd. But if you're gonna get in the ring with a real wrestler, someone like me, you're gonna find just how small you really are.
Nope.
Techno Boy, obviously, he wants to prove himself here. He is new. He won his first day. And Xander, you've been hearing a lot of pro Techno Boy propaganda in our calls together.
Yeah, I'm gonna bet he wins his second match too.
Here's the thing. No, he doesn't. That is a Derek Nash victory. Derek Nash was just feuding for the main belt of the company. He was in the running to legitimately take the Sorcerer's Supreme belt. Techno Boy's not beating him day 2. That would be crazy. Even I'm not willing to do that. No. That's why this is a submission match, though, because Techno Boy's traits, he's a gifted acrobat, and he goes for those big plays. You see here, Derek Nash, the Extreme King, willing to get to the ground, keep it low blows, keep to these body hits, and eventually he wears Techno Boy down. So it's definitely going to be interesting. This is
Boo.
How dare you? Don't tell me that you're not happy Derek Nash won, but we'll see.
Listen, you sold me on Techno Boy, and I come in here rooting for Techno Boy, and you give him a loss. I've been betrayed on the most capital level. This is a criminal offense, and I'm going to rethink our friendship after this. So I guess continue with your card, but my day has been ruined immeasurably.
You expected nothing and you're still let down. I get it. Look, Techno Boy, I have a feeling he'll bounce back, and the fact that he got 21 popularity and a loss is very nice. We got a holy shit moment. Derek Nash hitting Techno Boy with the hard headbutt is great to see. And by the way, Derek Nash on his way to becoming the face of the company, because a guy that I just had as a placeholder so Fishbone could fight somebody until the thing I have planned for him next turns out to be really good at this whole wrestling thing. But
I just want everyone to know I got baited.
We have a split interview next between Ariana Black and Duka Igarashi. Duka's keeping it very much about, her feud with Ariana, right? She's like, I'm going to meet, life or death. It's all in. If I lose this match, I will never challenge for the Frost Witch belt against any Scourge member. That's how confident I am. And Ariana has kind of a surprising response. She just kind of rolls her eyes and is like, well, look, just like you have your issues in your faction, currently, there are quite a few Scourge members I'm not impressed by right now. Your dysfunctional mess with Tilly Cooper trying to take the title from your own faction leader is certainly a lot worse, but I need to see more from my Scourge. If we're going to be able to hold up against someone like you, they need to get their act in gear. And so I am announcing a new tag team that will debut at Life or Death based on the results of this week's matches. We're going to have our Scourge members go head to head against each other. The winners of those matches will join together to become the tag team that competes at Life or Death. And Duca just seems kind of stunned that the faction leader would talk so openly about the disappointment she has in some of her members. And we'll see how that shakes out over the course of the night. But for now, we move on to Alana Elise versus Denise Weston. Any thoughts actually before we move forward?
I'm upset that your interview went better than my match did.
Oh man, I mean I was a fine. We'll see. The split interview was I'm trying some things, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see if this match ends up being a problem because it is Alana Elise versus Denise Weston. Alana's had a couple low rolls recently, but this has been a headhunting feud for a bit, right? Denise kind of turns to Alana after all this. Is like, look, you heard Ariana here. You don't think she's keeping you around, right? As the one face within the Scourge? Like, you should join the Sky Sentinels before it's too late. And Alana's like, you are overreacting, first of all. I haven't heard any negative from Ariana Black. She doesn't even talk to me, so I don't know why it would be a concern. And also, you need to get over yourself here. Just because you're in the Sky Sentinels, a faction that's also very messy right now, by the way, doesn't mean you get to tell me how to live my life.
Yeah, get over yourself. I love it.
Yeah, and here's the tables match that where they get to hash it out in the ring. Who do you think's getting the nod tonight?
Oh, mm, man, this is so close. I think. Oh man, listen. There's arguments for both. Both of them need wins. I do worry about Denise Weston's position right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would give it to Denise.
You would give it to Denise. I'm giving it to Alana just because
Okay.
I felt like with her popularity, she needed a boost. Apparently, the audience agreed because it was a 5 and
Fair
a quarter
enough.
star match. Holy shit. I did not expect that from two people so low on the card, but a big boost here. In my mind, Denise has had this, the one time they did fight, just the two of them, Denise did take the win. And in my mind, Alana wins the match, but she sees how hard Denise is fighting here. And it appears that message may have gone through. Maybe it is time for her to reevaluate um, uh, what faction she should be a part of. Because Ariana Black,
Absolutely.
yeah, no, we'll see. But for now, I'm gonna move on to our first of the two matches to determine which members of the Scourge will be in the new tag team that they will compete at Life or Death for the women's tag title. And it's a match between Viuda Negra and Tijuana King. You're going to be surprised to hear, Xander, that after Viuda Negra basically sacrificed herself at Bonds of Destiny to prevent Ariana Black from losing her title, that Ariana decided to give Viuda first pick on which member of the Scourge she wanted to wrestle against tonight. And
Interesting.
she chose Tijuana King, who is a tag wrestler, but one who has been unimpressive recently. She and the falling out with Alana Elise, they've been feuding back and forth now. Rude Awakening has just not been the same since they lost the belt. And Viuda's like, you're sloppy. Like, this is just
You're sloppy.
you have built yourself up in your head to be this victim that like Alana's holding you back, but the only person holding you back is yourself.
Damn.
And Tijuana's like, look, this was my spot. Rude Awakening was my tag, and it's not my fault that Alana Elise is a crap wrestler. Ignore the match that just happened. Alana Elise cannot do this. I can, and I'm going to prove it tonight. You made the wrong choice picking me, Viuda. This was the wrong call. So, is Tijuana going to prove herself here tonight, or does Viuda put her in her place?
Viuda puts her in her place.
Yeah, I mean Tijuana has a lot. Oh my god,
Oh no.
severe injury.
Oh no.
Well, I gave myself the extra weekly for a reason, I suppose. But that's like three different feuds viewed as a part of. Um,
That one hurts, buddy. I'm sorry.
God damn it, man. I was gonna go on this whole thing about like Viuda proving herself, and Ariana comes out proud of her champion here. Perhaps a push for second in command if Mistress Jade ever slipped one day. But the answer is Viuda Negra is not going to be appearing on the show for a
Well,
good while. So
see you later, Viuda. It's been real. Chase hates you.
I had such plans. I have like a full half page on Viuda in my narrative notes.
Well, time to delete all that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out what that means the next week. But you could tell Ariana worried about someone who is proving her one of the few members of the Scourge who is truly proving themselves right now. But the Scourge, Ariana said the word, right? It is time to prove yourself. And Kagetsi is someone you and Walter have expressed some concerns with because she has lost 10 matches in a row. And trust me, no one knows it more than Kagetsi. It has worn her down, and she's
Well,
realizing,
and apparently Gus Sanchez.
well, yeah, I mean, Gus, it's fine. It's a fine, I'll take a 3.5 star. But the more important thing here is that realizing that she's not the assassin the Scourge needed. Well, where do you go if you don't have the power to win on your own? Well, the occult, obviously. So Kagetsi has started to study some dark magics in order to
Oh,
become
oh,
more powerful so
okay.
that she can take on the rest of this of these opponents and not be the laughingstock that she has become. See, I told you she needed to be torn down so I could build her back up.
I love it.
There's a plan. And we'll see how these occult powers help her. Perhaps, now that Viuda Negra is out, that storyline might accelerate a little bit faster than I'd originally planned. Uh, but we move.
Yeah, I don't know that you have a choice, but enjoy. Have
Yeah,
fun. Good
hold
luck.
hold on. Speaking of, I need to remove the phrase "add view to distraction" if it looks like my card can take a
Oh,
hit.
no.
So yeah, it's fine. Anywho's,
Anywho,
it's a
we have
not
fun here.
it's a not your place match between Emu and Mikio and Skull Tabaka. Honestly, Emu usually should be mad at not getting first pick because she is on her way to being a face of the company. You would think that Ariana would respect that. But in all reality, this is exactly who she wanted to fight, right? She
Mhm.
already called out Skull Tabaka on the opening match of Bonds of Destiny and said, "You're not putting in enough work. You're not doing what this faction needs of you if you're going to be the masked maniac that you claim to be. And if you're not going to get your shit together, I'm going to have to do it for you." And Skull, like, this is, I mean, she needs to prove herself, right? She has a 1-9 record. She's lost 5 matches in a row. Ariana just sent out the message, right? If you don't step up now, the opportunities you're going to have to do it later are slim. You do not get a lot of second chances with Ariana if she like that's just not going to work out well for her. So, is she able to do enough to step up tonight, or does Emu and Mikio continue to put Skull Tabaka in her place?
I want Emu to win, but I think Skull wins.
Interesting. Why do you think Skull wins?
Because I think Skull needs the win here. Otherwise, she's like absolutely doomed. Jover, GG, go next within her faction.
Yeah, yeah, that would be a problem for Skull when Emu wins this match, wouldn't it?
Oh, I love it. I
That
love it. I love it. I
that
love
may
it.
be something
Good,
Skull
good,
has to
good.
figure out.
Okay, then we're
Man,
both happy.
if only there was some I don't know, cult leader hanging out in the back room who could take in
I
some
see.
wayward
I
souls.
see. I see. I see. I see.
But for now, it's a 5-star match. Amuk maintains her spot as a face of the company, or on the path to the face of the company. It's a hot match. The feud has not gone over quite yet, but I do believe it can get there, and we will see exactly where it leads up. But for now, We have two more matches tonight, and this is a fascinating one, right? This is a triple threat I Quit match between Johnny Scott, Grim Oxley, and Vinny Stacks. Now, Grim Oxley has feuds with both of these people, right? Grim Oxley, he's the hardest worker in the indies as he never stops telling people, right? He's got a massive ego and it rubs basically everyone the wrong way all of the time. And Vinny was very happy to wrestle him head to head. And Johnny insisted on participating as well. Um, Johnny is talking to Vinny, being like, I just joined Independence recently. It's really cool. You don't have to just sit around and be a B-lister for the Eastern Elite. Like, you have an opportunity if you wanted to. We would love to have a man of your talents, the richest kid on the block, but more importantly, a 19-year-old 4-3 face, right? We would love to have you in Independence. And Vinny's like, look, just don't get in my way tonight. We'll talk about it from there. Um, but yeah, with Grim Moxley kind of the target of both of these men, who do you think the match is going to?
Johnny Scott.
Oh, interesting. This is not a Johnny Scott victory. This is a Vinny Stacks victory.
That was my second guess, so I still win.
I see. Well, here's the thing. It looks like at multiple points, like Grim is about to attack Vinny and like make kind of charge him when he's in the corner, and Johnny regularly in this match makes Vinny's life easier. Either taking the hit himself, getting Vinny out of the way, and at one point when it looks like Grim might have this match, Johnny is the one to say I quit and give Vinny the win. And he closes here like, look, I'm just saying, members of Independence, look out for each other. You should think about it. And you see Arsenico hanging out in the shadows as Vinny seems to really consider the offer being made to him in this moment in time.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. But we close out with a last woman standing match between Mistress Jade and Sumi Kabaya. This is a blow-off match in a feud that's had not as much back and forth as Sumi would like. Sumi has had a couple moments, but ultimately Mistress Jade, the Demon Queen, second in command of the Scourge, she has heard from Ariana that it is time for the Scourge to prove themselves, given how many wins the Sky Sentinels have been racking up recently. And Mrs. Jade is like, okay, cool. Let me wrap up with her and just get Sumi out of my way so I can start taking on higher ranked members of the Sky Sentinels and start knocking some belts off of some people, because this is the Scourge's league and the Sky Sentinels just don't know it yet. Sumi Kabaya, of course, she is the ace. She is a very talented wrestler, a 4'4", 26-year-old face. She hasn't had the wins necessarily that you would expect from someone with that title, but she certainly knows how to get the most out of whatever gimmick is thrown her way. And if Mistress Jade is left unchecked, right, Sumi knows that Mrs. Jade is dangerous to let go where she pleases when it comes to the Sky Sentinels. So will Sumi be able to be that last, that wall preventing Mistress Jade from coming in and starting to take a toll on the rest?
I'm going to be honest. I don't think she is. I think it's Mistress Jade getting the dub.
Yeah, of course it's Mistress Jade getting the dub. Yeah, she's Mistress Jade. It's time. See, my now 942 popularity 4-4 heel. The Demon Queen is going to have some fun with the Sky Sentinels. But Sumi Kabaya gets an overness here and a popularity boost of her own. The feud became hot right as I blew it off, because of course it did. But that's okay. It just means that when I pick back up on this 5.5-star feud, I'll have some more room to play around with. But yeah, I'm certainly happy with how this card went down, and it is going to be 4 3/4 stars, which means that I go to 9.25 and have a 3/4 star lead heading into the last weekly.
Yep, like I said.
Yeah, when you put it that way, Look, I am happy with how this card went down. I'm really worried about Viuda Negra. That's actually a problem for me, and I will
Yeah,
have
no,
to do
that's
some
not good.
rewriting. But ultimately,
And
like,
the sole source of my consolation tonight.
but look, I mean, I think at the end of the day, well, we'll see here. Campinato got some experience, and Walter continues to lose a little bit here. Let's just get that
Love
final
that I
score.
lose experience off of a failed package. That's my favorite.
The experience boost highs and lows are very funny to try to track. Obviously, I'm very happy with how tonight went. I feel like I've built some really good stories, and I'm excited to continue to show y'all. The Scourge, there's certainly a lot more to see coming up at Life or Death, but I think everybody had some really nice story beats tonight, and I'm very excited to see what people do with their last weekly. It likely, unless I really screw up, it will be difficult to get for anyone else to get a point. But that just means y'all are free to do whatever the hell you want narrative wise without having to stress about it. Get your feuds where you want them to. Get your wrestlers in the position you need them in for the pay per view, where it's always a clean slate from the very beginning. But for now, Xander, where can the nice folks at home join you if they want to commiserate on your terrible
Yes, you can
segment
find
role?
me. You can find me, Tentacle Coach, on all socials, and also please go support Brooklyn College at CUNY BC Esports. Again, much appreciated. We love the support over at Brooklyn College. Yeah, and that's that.
Absolutely. Be sure to give them some love and be sure to check out the Rough Drafts Podcast Network if you haven't already. We just released our latest episode of Steam Cleaners, where Walter and I talk about games that we've never played before, different games every 2 weeks. It's a good time, and if you enjoy this, you may enjoy that too. But regardless, we'll be back in a few days for the last weekly as we prepare for the next pay per view. But until then, goodbye, Internet.
Peace.